July's gonna be an insane month. We have Jurassic World Rebirth on July 2nd. Now, the only good Jurassic World movie is the first one. But that series prints money. And then 9 days later, we get Superman. And then 2 weeks after that, we get the Fantastic Four First Steps. And what I've noticed about all three of these movies is they're all supposed to be taking us back to the old days. Jurassic World is supposed to harken back to the original Jurassic Park movie. Superman is supposed to bring back that 1970s Superman feel. And Fantastic Four is trying its best to emulate an old 1960s Jack Kirby comic. Right up front, I am going to say that despite how big of a Marvel fan I am, I've actually never seen the previous Fantastic Four movies. I haven't read a lot of Fantastic Four comics, but I know a lot about the Fantastic Four. But I grew up watching all the Fox X-Men movies and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films on loop. Like, I'm not kidding. It was probably unhealthy how much I would watch those movies. But for some reason, I never watched the Fantastic Four movies. I do want to talk about the key points from this trailer that give me hope this movie will be special. And the first of those tidbits is the fact that this is an alternate universe. This is the second MCU movie that does not take place in the actual MCU. Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, being the first, but the MCU in that movie was still kind of a plot device in this larger idea looming over the movie. So I guess in a way, Fantastic Four is kind of the first one, because this is wholly its own timeline. And the beauty of this being an alternate universe is that the movie's not tethered down by the limitations that a larger universe like the MCU would have. This is a retro, futuristic 1963 New York City. There's a monorail. There's all these buildings that aren't real that they've added. It's a vibe we've never gotten from one of these movies, and it honestly looks like an old Fantastic Four comic book come to life. There's a lot of shots in this trailer that straight up look like comic book panels. And let's just give it up real fast for director Matt Shakman. Matt Shakman has made his career almost entirely in TV. He has done one other feature before this, funny enough, but like, just pick a TV show and he probably worked on it. Game of Thrones, Always Sunny, The Boys, Succession. Whenever a studio's making a TV show, they just call Matt Shakman. But Marvel fans will most recognize Matt Shakman for directing all 9 episodes of WandaVision. He is very good at working in alternate time periods, and he's even better at working with character, something that makes him a perfect fit for the Fantastic Four. John Watts, the man who did Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy, was originally the director of this movie. However, he did step aside, I think in 2022. He stepped down from the movie. He and Marvel have both confirmed it was amicable, no bad blood. John Watts just wanted a break from the superhero scene, and he wanted to pursue some other projects. I think one of those projects might have been the Star Wars show Skeleton Crew? But I'm not sure. I have heard that show's really good. I have not watched it yet, though. However, I think this was the right choice. Matt Shakman, first off, the last project he did with Marvel was very good. But second, he has not at all shied away from talking about how huge of a fan of the Fantastic Four he is. He said they were always the characters he loved reading when he was growing up. Every interview about this movie, he has a huge smile on his face. And also what's funny is if you look at what the vibe of this movie was expected to be when John Watts was on it, you will notice how much it changed once Matt Shakman came on board. Also exciting is the look and feel of this movie. This does not look like your typical MCU movie. The general looks of the characters are so unique from every other hero they've ever done, and I know people might say that's not that noteworthy since this is a separate universe, but the last Marvel movie that came out was set in an alternate universe, and they still MCU-ified Wolverine's suit. So yeah, I'm counting that as a win. But it's not just the look of the characters and the world that are catching my attention, and don't worry, we'll talk all about the characters and their designs shortly. It's also things like the color grading. on this trailer. The shot composition, the way the camera's moving, the way Johnny pops out of the frame and the thing looks like he's trying to blend into the frame. The flying scenes. We have not had flying sequences, and I know we've only seen a few seconds, but those few shots of Johnny flying, just the way the camera was moving through them, we haven't had MCU flight that exciting looking in I don't even know how many years. Then you've got things like just the backgrounds, the buildings that you see, the actual sets they built. I mean, the Baxter building, that's a legit set that looks great. Herbie looks like a practical effect. I don't know if Herbie is a practical effect, but Herbie looks amazing. And I think it's really cool that both Superman and the Fantastic Four look so much more unique than a lot of other comic book movies. Let's talk about the Fantastic Four themselves, because the most important thing in a Fantastic Four story, period, is the Fantastic Four. And let's kick it off by talking about the rock monster in the room, the Thing, aka Ben Grimm, played by the Bear's Eben Moss Backrack. If you have not seen the Bear, he is also Micro in The Punisher. And yes, he looks phenomenal. He looks exactly like a Jack Kirby drawing. He looks very uncanny, which is how the Thing is supposed to look. And he's the right size. Like, I know people are shocked by how small he is, but like, he's not the Hulk. He's a normal guy. And some set photos have hinted that the Thing is practical. That's not entirely true. It's a mix. He's part practical, part motion capture. I think it just depends on the shot. I'm sure we'll find out a lot more when the movie's actually out. But I believe in shots where he's standing still or not moving around very much, he is practical, like the last shot of the trailer. But in scenes where he is moving a lot and he's interacting with other characters, that's motion capture. But I even think a lot of the practical stuff, it's not entirely practical. I think it's more of just a physical stand-in model and then they touch it up with CGI anyway. My only criticism with the Thing is that his voice is a little too human.
Okay, is this guy good or what?
I'm kind of hoping that in the final cut of the movie they add some sort of like gravel-like sound onto his voice, because his vocal cords are made of rocks. But other than that, I think the character looks exactly how the Thing should look. He's also the emotional core of this trailer. My favorite part of this entire trailer, the single thing that most sold me on this movie, involves the Thing. There's a shot where you see Reed and Ben on a TV, and it's presumably old footage of their space mission or whatever it was. And then the TV turns off and you just see the Thing reflected in it, and you can just tell on his face how sad he is. And he's wearing the trench coat and the hat trying to blend in, because the Thing, more than everyone else in the Fantastic Four, most hates who he is. And in fact, Reed's guilt for creating the Fantastic Four stems largely from what he did to his friend Ben Grimm. Because unlike the rest of the team, Ben can't turn his powers off. He also doesn't have cool powers. Like Johnny being able to light on fire and fly is cool. The Thing is just a scary looking rock monster. But on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, speaking of the Human Torch, we have Johnny Storm, played by Stranger Things actor Joseph Quinn. Now, weirdly, Johnny Storm is actually the character who's in the least of this trailer, it feels like. There's the flying shots I mentioned earlier, but other than that, there's a few shots of him just hanging around. We didn't get to hear a flame on, which I'm actually surprised. When he first lit on fire in the trailer, I thought there would be one. I guess they're saving it, probably for the second trailer, but they better not put It's Clobberin' Time in the trailer. Save that for the movie, please. I do think Joseph Quinn's blonde wig is ridiculous. Like, it took me out of it, like, once. I got used to it when I rewatched the trailer a couple times. I got used to it, but like, This is clearly a very dark-haired British man pretending to be like a 20-year-old blonde American dude. But I don't have many thoughts on Johnny. I mean, I wanted to see him on fire and flying. That's what they did. He's also, the Human Torch has never looked better. I think the VFX on him in this trailer look better than he looks in Deadpool and Wolverine. I do think the two shots of him flying, I think the daytime one is something involving the fight with Galactus. The nighttime one I actually think is a chase with him and the Silver Surfer, who is also in this movie. But the backdrop of this trailer is Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Sue looks very good when she's not in the suit. The only shot of her in this trailer that I kind of actively did not like is when she's actually using her force field ability. There was something about that just did not look right. But all the shots of Vanessa Kirby just chilling in the Baxter building in normal clothes, she looks great. I do still think she is the best casting of the four, and I will continue to think it unless I'm proven wrong. But Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic himself, I am 100% certain that from now until the point this movie comes out, the largest talking point of this film is going to be Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And when the cast was announced, he was the one guy on the cast where I said to myself, really? But I hope I'm wrong, because Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and I feel like every time he's cast in something, people are confused, and then he immediately proves them wrong. I hope that's the case here, but he was the one guy when watching this trailer where I saw him, and before saying, oh, that's Mr. Fantastic, I said, that is Pedro Pascal. But I'll tell you what, my dad will go see this movie because Pedro Pascal is in it. And part of the reason Reed sticks out in this trailer is the fact that there's nothing actually sticking out. He is the only member of the Fantastic Four that does not use his powers in this trailer. And this could be for two reasons. I know the first one that people are talking about a lot, which is probably the case, is that they need to get the effects of his powers right. The stretching has never looked good in a movie. They have not ever gotten that figured out, and they really need to in this movie. But I think another reason we didn't see his powers is because, sure, he can stretch, but Reed's actual superpower is his brain. Like, the Fantastic Four's powers all kind of reflect their personality, and there's always a symbolic and story reason why they have their powers. Reed's the smartest man alive. Reed is drawing stuff on a blackboard in this movie. I mean, he invents most of the tech in this world. He creates their suits. He friggin' invents a new type of matter so that he can stretch and Johnny can light on fire without their suits tearing or burning, respectively. He's insane. Yet, for some reason, he still told Wanda how to beat Black Bolt, but that's besides the point. He also feels guilt because going up into space on this mission, I know at least in the comics, I'm not sure how they'll twist it for the movie, they'll probably try to keep it somewhat the same, but going up on space and going on this mission was his idea, and so he feels the guilt of what happened more than everyone else does. So, I think there's a couple reasons they didn't show his powers, but at the end of the day, yeah, no, they can't put bad stretching effects into the trailer. And then they all have the matching suits on in that final group shot at the end, which is important to have. You have to have your group shot. It's also the thumbnail of the trailer because they knew how important it is. And I like that each suit is slightly different than the previous one. I am surprised that the Thing is wearing the full outfit and not the trunks, although maybe that's because early on he's trying to hide, and we'll get to a point in this character later down the line in sequels or whatever where he just rocks the trunks. I could see them going that route. You know who else looks perfect? And granted, we didn't see all of him, but we did see the back of his head. Galactus is the main villain of this movie, and boy oh boy, he ain't a cloud this time. And yeah, I have already seen plenty of criticisms that he's too small and there is no way that he would ever be able to eat a planet? He can change his size, guys! You know who we didn't see in this trailer, and I mentioned her earlier, is the Silver Surfer has also been confirmed to be in this movie, played by Julia Garner. Now, before y'all get sexist, this is not a gender swap. There are two Silver Surfers in Marvel. There's Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer we're all familiar with, and Shala Bal, Norrin Radd's partner. That's the one in this movie. And considering this is an alternate universe, I would not be surprised if we see Norrin Radd either A, in this movie, or B, in a later movie. In a different universe. Calm down. Don't complain until the movie's out, please. Thank you. The only member of the supporting cast we see in this trailer is John Malkovich, but it's one shot of him. And we don't know who he's playing. It's very heavily rumored that he's playing the Red Ghost. A character I know nothing about, but I am excited to learn about. I am also going to drop the theory in there. He could be a time-dilated Franklin Richards, but that's an argument for another time. It makes sense, though, that we didn't see all those other things, because the trailer has two goals. Show us the Fantastic Four, and show us that Galactus isn't a cloud, and it did both of those very well. And I dig that the Fantastic Four feels like a proper family. They all act differently. They all have these distinct personalities. You can tell they all really care about each other. They feel like real people. And they also really feel like adults. Reed and Sue have like a mature, grown-up conversation in the trailer.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi.
And I am right here.
And that's nice to see. So often Marvel movies getting caught up in their need for quips and jokes make the characters feel like children when they're not. And in some cases this works. Deadpool and Wolverine did this masterfully, but a lot of the time it doesn't work. So it's nice to see that the Fantastic Four are feeling like real people. Last thing I have to talk about, because every Fantastic Four analysis video from now until the end of the Multiverse Saga is going to be talking about how these guys connect to the MCU. Because this Fantastic Four cast is confirmed to be in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So they have to connect to the MCU somehow. There's a lot of theories going around that Galactus is going to eat the Earth, and instead of defeating him, the mission becomes to evacuate and find a different place, and that's how they end up in the MCU. I mean, Reed even has on his chalkboard in the trailer, he has multiversal drawings and equations. I could see this happening. My one issue with doing that is that having the Fantastic Four lose in their first movie wouldn't be very cool. But it's all but confirmed at this point that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is from this timeline. I honestly think it's more likely that they stay in their own universe and just kind of commute to fight Doctor Doom. I think that's a thing that could happen. Another theory that's been going around for a couple years now is that Marvel is looking at a soft reboot after Secret Wars so they can use some of those characters again that they have, they can't use anymore because the Infinity Saga. If that's the case, which I do think is the smart play, I think they should do that for reasons I'm not going to talk about in this video. I could see it being a case of the MCU and this universe and kind of a bunch of other universes, maybe the 838 from Doctor Strange and Deadpool's universe, could all like kind of just collide. And then we just get like a mess of Marvel heroes that are all on one universe. I could see that happening too. But I don't want to theorize that much because, I don't know, anytime you theorize, you just are inevitably disappointed. So, I don't really want to do that. I just kind of want to enjoy the movie and see what surprises it has for me. But if you've got theories, feel free to drop them in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. Not just about how it connects to the MCU, but honestly everything. But those are my thoughts on the trailer for The Fantastic Four: First Steps. This is the MCU movie I am most looking forward to, period. More than Avengers, more than Thunderbolts, more than Captain America. This is the one I'm really excited for, and I think it looks just as good as I was hoping. I've obviously got a couple things I'm not completely sold on, but without the whole picture of the movie, it would be unfair to look at those as negatives for the time being. But with all that said, let me know your thoughts on the trailer for Fantastic Four down in the comments below. Leave a like on this video and subscribe. As for me, on the other hand, I should probably watch these because I've owned them for like 8 years and I've just never watched them. I should probably change that. All right, bye guys.